We had probably, we normally operate about 6 or 8 people on a team. We had probably 20 SWORD operators make this entry with an FBI regional SWAT team.
Tell them what the SWORD stands for.
What SWORD stands for is our Special Operations Response Team. They are like most agencies have a SWAT team. We do that type of thing with our SWORD operators. They're full-time in that capacity, but they also do other things that normal SWAT teams don't do. We respond to high-angle rescue and different things with that team. They're a highly trained, highly capable unit that we use for just this type of thing. This is what they train for. This is what they live for, is to make entries like this and save someone's life.
All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
I have 2 questions. Does this will affect how Amber Alerts are sent out? Because was there a delay this time? Because a lot of people are asking about that. Is the park back open tomorrow?
We'll have to get back to you on that. I would assume it'll probably be back open, but we'll make sure.
We'll figure it out. Any updates tomorrow that we should be aware of?
When we have more information, we'll have updates on our website, on our newsroom.
Any press conferences we should be aware of tomorrow?
With this tonight, probably not, but we'll let you know if we decide to do something. If we have more information that we can do. It's an ongoing, active investigation, so we have a lot of work to do with this.
So were police present at the home when the ransom note was dropped?
They were in the area. They were not able to get the vehicle. There was some suspicious activity, and we were able to obtain the note.
Where was the camper in relation to the family?
Right behind the house.
Was he a registered sex offender?
He is not.
I'm going to try to replay it, but I don't know if I can. If not, I'm just going to delete the stream because I found out about this a little too late. I did not expect to press her until tomorrow, but, you know, Governor Kathy's got to get her votes. So, and I'm sorry about the sound. I'm not in my studio right now, so just kind of doing the best I can here. And Cherry's going to look for the replay in the meantime. Thanks for joining me, guys. Sorry that I didn't get on this earlier. I just didn't know about it. Cherry didn't know about it. So and again, sorry about the sound, and I'm not on camera. Like I said, I'm not in my studio right now, so this is the best I could do at the moment. I don't know if the exit was weird. Like, I really want to replay this because I'm really curious as to what was said. But now remember, folks, I mean, I was live for 4 hours. And it was there was a lot of info. I mean, I was the first to bring you the news that she was found safely, and I was the first to show you guys or to reveal the suspect's name because I had the news source that was on top of it before anybody. So don't forget that. Don't forget where you saw it first, folks. Like that really fucking matters, but whatever. But yes, there's still going to be a press conference with law enforcement tomorrow. I think the governor just wanted to address the state ASAP. Because again, you know, politics, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a good look that she is in keeping the people informed. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be back, folks. I just jumped on because I heard this presser was happening, and we just caught the butt end of it. So, all right, let me see real quick. Well, I'll go ahead and share. We're going to go through that press conference again, folks. So let's do this real quick. And no, yeah, I know. I was just messing around. I'm really grateful actually, because like I got a bunch of new subs and it's great. Because I like getting subs under those kind of circumstances. You know, when I don't have to be getting subs for calling out idiots on YouTube, or I can just get it from sharing good news with people. It's always something to be grateful for. So let's just fast forward here, get a little replay here. You chat up, Jerry. You chat up. I don't have it muted, by the way. That's them. So I'm going to try another one, maybe. Or maybe they just don't have the sound on because it hasn't started yet. Let me fast forward. We get this. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Here we go. There we go. Oh, thank you for being here, Christy Solo. Appreciate it. Sorry I didn't catch this in time to do it live, though. But yeah, make sure to hit the bell for the notifications, guys. I'm not going to fast forward it. I'm going to give people a chance who missed this, like the rest of us. I'm going to give those people a chance to come on in and catch this. So I'm not going to fast forward it. I'm just going to let it go. Just for the people who missed it. Because I missed it too. So. And keep in mind, guys, remember, like, this was a hell of a thing, man. Today was a great day for the efforts of finding missing people. I mean, everyone, the entire country came together to share this little girl's information. And
Good evening. This is a very good day.
yes, it
It's been a
is.
long 2 days, but tonight our prayers have been answered. We're overcome with relief and gratitude for this gift to all of us. And it is the people standing here with me. They remind me why I'm so proud to be the governor of this state. incredible
Wow.
men and women who were relentless in their pursuit of finding this little girl. Yesterday, I held Charlotte's parents in my arms. David and Trish, I went to the campsite. I saw the place that she had just been a joyful little girl the day before, riding her bike, because I was on the road she rode her bike on, saw where she left it. And her parents were just so overcome with sadness and grief. And as a parent, I thought my own heart was breaking. And I said to them, I promise you this, we will bring Charlotte home to you. And as each hour went on, hope faded, because we all know the stories. The first 24 hours, there's hope. When you hit 48 hours, hope starts to wane. But when Charlotte disappeared in Monroe State Park, it was every parent's worst nightmare. But I knew I would be able to have assembled the team of individuals who would not stop. And I want to thank at this moment the individuals gathered here tonight and all the men and women across this state that they represent. And the FBI brought in their specialized trained individuals all the way from Washington to help with this search. I want to thank Deputy Superintendent Richard Allen, Lieutenant Colonel James Barnes, Lieutenant Colonel Richard Mazzone, Major Dennis Shager, for their work. The New York State Park Police, Colonel Michael Dodona, the Office of Parks and Historic Preservation, Chief of Staff Randy Simons, Saratoga County Sheriff's Department, Lieutenant Jeffrey O'Connor, the Schenectady County Sheriff's Office, represented by the Schenectady Police Department, Police Department of Schenectady, Detective Sergeant Bradley Carlton, the Federal Bureau of Investigation Acting Agent in Charge, Alfred Watson, who I met yesterday on site, New York State Department of Corrections and Community Services, Acting Commissioner Daniel Marticello, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Forest Rangers, Basil Sagos. As I mentioned, when you hit that 48-hour moment, you realize it's going to be tough. And you start thinking the worst. But what happened was extraordinary. The case started to break at 4:20 a.m. this morning, when the family's home that was being guarded by state police, when the parents were still starting another day at the campsite where they'd last seen their daughter. 4:20 a.m. The car pulls up to a mailbox. Something is left. State police immediately go to the mailbox and identify what is a ransom note that had been left behind for Charlotte. State police worked diligently trying to find a match for a fingerprint. First one tried and wasn't successful. Second one was to identify any other prints in the New York State database that would be a match. The hit came at 2:30 in the afternoon. There had been a DWI in 1999 in the city of Saratoga. A fingerprint was found that matched what was found on the ransom note. So, a little more research work identified the location and identifying the fact that there was a home they could visit. They found a double wide house with a woman, the suspect's mother. The suspect lived in the camper behind. They had what they call a dynamic entry, a tactical maneuver, and within the camper, they located the suspect. After some resistance, the suspect was taken into custody, and immediately the little girl was found in a cabinet, cupboard. She was rescued, and she knew she was being rescued. She knew that she was in safe hands. Her parents were immediately notified. This occurred at 6:32 this evening. The suspect, 47-year-old male named Craig Nelson Ross Jr., is still being questioned. At this moment, charges have not been brought, but they are fully expected. Her daughter was transported to local hospital, as is customary. And that's all the family wishes to reveal at this time. But they are united. She is in good hands. She appeared to be outwardly physically unharmed at the time. But we'll leave the rest of this information about little Charlotte to her family at a time they deem appropriate. Often these stories don't end up like this. Every second is key. There's a lot of pressure. Split decisions are made. Because you know, not just a life is hanging in the balance, but a little innocent child's life is hanging in the balance. So to the teams behind me, you work quickly. You work with great urgency. You put it together, the puzzle pieces. You're able to track down the location of Charlotte through technology. But ultimately it was the two SWAT teams, one federal, one state, that landed in helicopters in Ballston Spa to rescue Charlotte. Still pretty overwhelming because all of us feared the worst. But I promise you, Trish and Dave, they would be reunited with little Charlotte once again, and she see her two sisters, one 10, one 4 years old. And obviously it's a traumatic event for the family and certainly Charlotte. And we'll continue to keep this family in our prayers as they heal. But she'll be going home. That's the story. Charlotte will be going home. That's all I have to say on the details. Certainly there'll be many more coming out with respect to the suspect and how that case will proceed. But I want to thank the media for their intense interest and the 400 volunteers who would not give up, the 400 individuals from law enforcement, fire departments, city, county, state, and federal. It was an awesome sight to witness up at the state park yesterday. Everyone doing their job. But also, there are a lot of parents out there among the ranks. And everybody thinks, if it was my child, I would want everybody under the sun looking for them. And that's what this team did. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We brought Charlotte home. Any questions?
What are Schenectady agencies involved in this case?
Charlotte's uncle was a member of the police department in Schenectady. I understand. If that's not correct, someone correct. Fire department.
Was the suspect known to the family?
It has not been determined that the suspect was known to the family.
News 10.
Was Charlotte randomly targeted, or did he know the family?
That is what will be revealed after more extensive questioning. The vehicle registered to the suspect, the address in the database was 2 miles from Charlotte's home, but it is not known at this time whether he knew her or had her under surveillance for any length of time.
Sean.
Governor, can you say, you said a letter was delivered. Was it delivered by mail carrier? Was it delivered by a third party? Do you have that information at this point?
It appears that it was by the suspect himself, that he literally drove up to the family's mailbox, assuming they were not home. 4:20 in the morning, opens the mailbox and inserts the ransom note, leaving a critical piece of evidence behind, his own fingerprint.
And I would assume the car details were also taken into consideration at that point in the same process.
There was it happened very quickly. Obviously, it's dark, it's 4:20 in the morning, so it's hard to get a description of the vehicle. But there was some sense of the type of vehicle at the time when they left. So as they're piecing together all the evidence, it came together when they did the fingerprint match. It leads you to a name, it leads you to a vehicle, and that's why we know that he had a home. His mother's home is where he was found. Again, double wide trailer, mother lives there, double wide home. He lives in a camper in the back, or at least he was there, but he also had his name was registered to a vehicle, and the address was a home 2 miles from where Charlotte lived.
And this just came out of nowhere, he just showed up at 4:30 in the morning.
Apparently so.
Tessa, anything?
Have you spoken to Charlotte at all, or Charlotte's family, since she's been found?
I've made a number of inquiries to the family. This is a traumatic time for them as they're going through, her health, taking care of her health right now. And I'll be speaking to the parents soon as I can.
You said there was some resistance with the suspect. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
When we made the dynamic entry into the residence, he did give our SWORD operators, our SWAT people, some resistance in there. He was taken into custody. He did suffer some very minor injuries, but it was relatively minor, nothing big on the scuffle.
Great, thanks, everybody.
I just want to say, there's still a lot of searches underway. The home that he was registered to, a lot of information. And so you want to make sure that he's not connected with any other cases. So that's why it's still an ongoing investigation. But at this time, there's no evidence of that.
What did
At
the
the end of
regular
the search, what was the extent, like, of the search in terms of the scope area that, investigators, searchers were looking at?
I'll let you answer, Caroline, but
Are you asking about at the
There's-
park?
six,
The scope beyond the park, I've heard reports that it was beyond the park as well.
The original scope of the ground search was within the park. The information we received that took us to Ballston Spa was obviously outside the park. We had no ground search operations going on outside the park, other than leads we were running down that we were developing throughout the 2 days.
Great,
What
thank
did
you.
the ransom letter say?
We're
What
not
were
gonna,
the
we're not gonna
biggest
disclose
takeaways
that.
From this massive search? What were some of the biggest takeaways from this search? Now that it's wrapped up.
I would say the biggest thing is, you look at all these people behind us, it's cooperation of all the agencies. We don't work in silos. We have to work together to accomplish something like this. And you can never be too careful with your kids. Pay attention to where they're at, what they're doing. Things can happen in an instant. Charlotte was no more than probably 2/10 of a mile from where she was camping in a small area, and she was gone for her to ride her bike around that loop would take her about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So you think they're safe doing that at 9 years old, but you just got to be cognizant and be paying attention to things around you, your surroundings all the time. These things happen in a hurry. And unfortunately, today, this ended in the right way.
Will there be
Any idea on the motive?
security protocols moving forward?
We'll be doing the after action report to identify any areas where the state parks can make any improvements. But obviously, this is a very random incident, and basically anyone who comes in and out of that park will have come through a certain entryway. Their name is, they purchase a ticket, you have their name in a database. So that is why that's also helpful to identify who's in the park. So that's also in a sense a security measure, because we always know who's in the park.
Did the suspect enter through the main gates?
We don't know how
You
many gates.
mentioned 2 helicopters. Was the arrest affected by the helicopters or was it the ground?
The arrest wasn't done by helicopter because of the seriousness of this incident. We brought in SWORD operators from throughout the state, and to expedite this, because obviously it was very time sensitive, we flew about 10 of our SWORD operators from downstate to be here to help with this entry. We normally operate about 6 or 8 people on a team. We had probably 20 SWORD operators make this entry with an FBI regional SWAT team.
Tell them what the sword stands
What SWORD stands for is our Special Operations Response Team. They are like most agencies have a SWAT team. We do that type of thing with our SWORD operators. They're full-time in that capacity, but they also do other things that normal SWAT teams don't do. We respond to high-angle rescue and different things with that team. They're a highly trained, highly capable unit that we use for justice type of thing. This is what they train for. This is what they live for, is to make entries like this and save someone's life.
All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
I have two questions. Does this affect how Amber Alerts are sent out? Because was there a delay this time? Because a lot of people are asking about that. Is the park back open tomorrow?
We'll have to get back to you on that. I would assume it'll probably be back open, but I'm not sure.
We'll see if we can give you more updates tomorrow. Any updates tomorrow that we should be aware of?
When we have more information, we'll have updates on our website. On our visual.
Any press conferences we should be aware of tomorrow?
With this tonight, probably not, but we'll let you know if we decide to do something. If we have more information, we can. It's an ongoing active investigation, so we have a lot of work to do. with
So
this.
were police present at the home when the ransom note was dropped?
They were in the area. They were not able to get the vehicle. There was some, I would say, there was some suspicious activity, and we were able to obtain the note
Where was the camper in relation to the family?
right behind the house.
Was he a registered sex offender?
He's not.
All right. So again, sorry about my sound, folks. I'm not in my studio right now, so kind of using a makeshift mic here. So there you have it. Basically, now we don't know what time the Cherry's on top of that. She's trying to figure out what time the law enforcement presser is going to be tomorrow. Hopefully there's more information, but that was a lot of information. We've got the name of the suspect is Craig Nelson Ross Jr. And this man is not a registered sex offender. Basically, what the governor was explaining was that at 4:20 a.m. this morning, at 4:20 a.m. this morning, he placed a letter into the mailbox of the home of Charlotte's family, and they observed him do this. This is what we call tactical law enforcement people. They placed, because in a situation like this, you got to imagine they probably only got one shot, right? So they placed, they watched him place this letter, this ransom letter, in the mailbox. They analyzed the letter. Now, I understand some people are saying, well, they should have grabbed him right then and there, but they don't know if this person has someone who's going to hurt her. They don't know if he has her right then and there and he can hurt her. They have to really, like, for lack of a better term, use kids' gloves here to make sure that she doesn't get hurt. So it's a very, very sensitive thing, and law enforcement knows exactly what they're doing. And so they observed him place this letter in the home, in the mailbox of the home. This was at 4:20 a.m. And then they managed to get fingerprints off of that letter, and they matched those fingerprints with someone whose last arrest apparently was in 1999 for a DUI, which is pretty incredible. That's amazing. So this is one of those things, people. We've got to pay attention to law enforcement, how they handle these situations, and understand that building an investigation takes time. Building a case takes time. And I realized there was a little girl's life on the line here. Some might not agree. Some feel that the best thing for them to do was to just grab them right then and there. But at the same time, they don't know who this person is. They don't know why he's placing anything in the mailbox. He could just shut down. And the best thing to do was to coordinate a tactical response in order to retrieve her. And that sounds like exactly what they did. Now, I'm not a law enforcement agent, but if I had to guess as to the reasons why they handled this the way that they did, that would be my guess. The best way to go about it would have been probably just to do exactly what they did, which was find out who this person was. I'm sure they managed to get a license tag number. They managed to get a make and model of the vehicle. They managed to do everything that they needed to do. But the best thing to do was to gain evidence, to obtain evidence that could be presented in a court of law. And that is indisputable evidence right there. Collecting a fingerprint from the letter and matching it to him, that would indisputably identify this person should the day come that he pleads not guilty in court, and they could present this, the prosecution could present this to a jury and say this was absolutely him. And then we use this information to find out where he lived, and there is where we were able to recover Charlotte safely. And that would also really explain not releasing the cam footage. Exactly. These things are, you have to understand, these things are always a process. It's not just about executing an arrest, people, because an arrest means absolutely nothing if you cannot convict them in a court of law. An arrest is a temporary solution, but an arrest is no good if they, and you know, it's only halfway good. Now think about this for a second. This would be a little bit of a controversial statement, but understand something. In the law enforcement's job is to enforce things in the grand scheme of things, kind of perspective, in the big picture kind of thing. So hear me out. If they were to just grab him, arrest him, and recover Charlotte, well then, you know, sure, that's a win, but not if they didn't have enough evidence to convict him for him to be able to walk the street and be able to do this to somebody else. And we have no idea how many times he's done this in the past and hasn't gotten caught, because I would bet money I don't even have, I would bet money that this is not the first time he's done this. This is just the first time he's been caught. Who knows how many other kids are out there that have been victimized? We have no idea. I mean, we don't know this for a fact, but it's pretty safe to assume, yes? But at the same time, maybe it was his first time, because that's a pretty stupid thing to leave a letter in a mailbox with your fingerprints all over it. So maybe this was his first time. And let's hope to God it was. Let's hope that this was the very first time he ever tried anything like this, and that it will be the last time. And we gotta praise law enforcement here, and that governor and everybody who was involved, those 400 people who aided in this investigation, on top of all of you that shared her information on your Twitter, on all of your social media. This was a community effort. This was absolutely a community effort. And look at the result that took place. And it all started with her parents acting instinctively, without panic, and acting instinctively and rationally, and in a timely fashion, to be able to act and get this little girl recovered. Now, I shudder to think what went on in those 48 hours. I don't want to think about that stuff. And I don't suggest that any of you do, because that's not what's important. What is important, and this is the thing, understand, they haven't brought charges against him yet. He's sitting in interrogation right now. as we speak. As the governor said, he's sitting in interrogation right now as we speak, right? So what they're doing is they're trying to get as much on him to charge him with as they possibly can. And I shudder to think what went on in those 48 hours, but hopefully it is enough to put him away for a very long time. And be realistic, because I know a lot of us are sitting here thinking, well, I hope they lock him away for life. Chances are he hasn't committed a crime that merits being locked away for life. So he'll probably be out in just a couple of years. Be prepared for that, folks. Just because something is high profile doesn't mean that the rules apply differently to him. Things like this happen. Somebody will kidnap somebody and then they get kidnapping charges and they don't necessarily get life in prison. This being more or less a first offense, that might play into it depending on the kind of lawyer that he has. He might even make bail depending on how good of a lawyer he has. These are things that we have to keep in mind and prepare ourselves mentally and emotionally for, folks. We have to be realistic here. I mean, the law doesn't always work the way that we want it to work, but we can't cherry pick when the justice system is fair and when it's not, because it's, you know, there might be somebody who under certain circumstances, they end up getting, you know, more time than we feel as the public they deserve. But the law dictates that the same thing applies to a case like this. Whereas here we are, and we've all spent the last 48 hours connecting with this young girl emotionally, empathizing with her and her family. But just because we feel so emotionally connected to her and her loved ones at this point, it doesn't mean that the law has to be applied more vigorously towards this person than someone who we aren't connected to, than a victim that we aren't so connected to. And first degree kidnapping in New York State is 15 years minimum. And, you know, I mean, that if that's the law, then that's the law. And I'm sure this being such a high profile case, the governor being so emotionally and personally involved the way that she made herself, there's going to be a lot of pressure on a judge for a harsh sentencing. I would absolutely count on that. So I would count on him getting the maximum, honestly. But just don't be surprised if there is a legal loophole that him having a good lawyer will find him through. I'm just saying, we prepare for the worst and hope for the best. It's what we do. But so far, hoping for the best has absolutely paid off in this case. So far, I'm going to say that one more time. So far, hoping for the best has absolutely paid off in this case. And the fools who were hoping for the worst, to have more content, to have better content for their channel, something more dramatic happen, those people lost today. Ethical, empathetic, true crime followers in the YouTube community prevailed. That absolutely happened. You all who had hoped for the best and truly hoped that this little girl was going to be found safely, that hope prevailed. We need to remember this moving forward in other cases. We need to remember this moving forward, following cases that hope tends to disappear. This is a case to hang on to. Moving forward and looking into future cases, this is a case to hang on to and hold close to our hearts. It's really important that we as a community remember this case. And even open cases that we talk about in the past. Because I know it's been 2 years. 48 hours versus 2 years, big difference. But I still have hope for Summer Wells. This case, it invigorates my hope for Summer Wells. The fact that Suzanne Morphew's remains were found, although a tragic outcome, justice can still be served in her case. We need to learn from this case, people. Separate ourselves from the trash in this community who hopes for the most dramatic and worst outcome because it's going to feed their channels more drama. This case needs to be held close to our hearts. I said the same thing back during the Heidi Broussard case. Even though it ended tragically that Heidi Broussard ended up murdered, but little baby Margot was found safe. And I said this years ago when that happened. Please do not forget this case. These are the cases to remember. The positive outcomes. Because they don't traumatize us as much. They still affect our hearts in a positive way. They have just as much of an impact, just a different type of impact. But we should treasure and cherish those positive impacts and those positive outcomes. Not dismiss them for the next dramatic, hope for the next dramatic outcome. This isn't a TV show. These are real people. That family was worried out of their minds. And now that family is rejoicing. That community is rejoicing, celebrating. And yes, I still have hope for Michael Monkey Vaughn. I still have hope for Summer Wells. And I've never lost that hope. But this case just recharged it, just lit that hope on fire in a good way. That's how it should be for all of us. And maybe not. I don't know about all that. I mean, if it had gone on for a little while longer, maybe, but you know, yeah, keep that hope going, Queen Elizabeth. Keep that hope going. This case is can absolutely be used by each and every one of us as an inspiration to continue hope that Summer will be found safely. This is a learning experience, folks. I mean, it just breaks my heart, man. Like when I really think about like what the Summer Wells case has turned into, you know, like it's so sad. It's so sad. Summer's name has just been lost in YouTube creator drama bullshit. That's all. That's exactly what it's become. Her name has sunk into a pit of quicksand that is YouTube creator drama. Created by rumors of things that there's absolutely no evidence of, because we don't have the standard to simply stick to the facts. As a whole community, we don't have that standard. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. Now, tomorrow, we don't have a time yet on that press conference, I don't think, do we, Cherry? We don't have a time on that press conference just yet. But as soon as we do, yeah, I will. I have every intention anyway of going live and covering that press conference from law enforcement live in real time and sharing that experience with you guys together. So anyways, guys, you guys are amazing, man. Seriously, you guys are fantastic. Thanks for joining me. And I love you all very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.